Welcome, guys. Uh, in this particular video, we're going to be talking about creating hooks, which is the step number 7. So I've gone through 6 steps. The last step that we discussed was adding nugget packages. So we've gone through several steps. So, so my name is TG Emmanuel. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about this step number 7. However, we've gone through in previous video, gone through downloading and installing Visual Studio, which is the step number 1 in the previous video. Um, in step 2, in the previous video, we've looked at integration of SpecFlow to Visual Studio, and we've also created our first test project, and we've created our folder in other videos, and also we've activated SpecFlow Plus Runner. And the last video, we added Nugget packages. In this video now, we're going to create the hooks. Just to quickly explain what hooks are. Hooks allows your code to be better managed. It also reduces code redundancy. This is very, very important. That's why I've highlighted it basically. So hooks allows you to run or some step of code that can be executed before each of the step in your code or before each of the scenario of features. And also you have your code binding, so which is basically allows you to have specific logic or event that can be executed before or after any scenario or feature. So, and this is another important feature that you need to understand about hooks is that it is global, which means that if you have your hooks at any particular um, code or any class, it will run where in your code, no matter where it is. So it's basically global. If you have your any hook in any of the class, it's going to be executed before you in the context of that particular code. So that is why it is advisable for you to have a dedicated class for your hook, because you don't want to start looking at different parts of your code to see what is firing before your test starts or before your feature starts or before your scenario starts. So you have one place to look when you think that, oh, I've got like 2 or 3 browsers open together, and it could have been that you've got different hooks in different places. This is very, very important. So, and also execution order of the hooks for the same event can be defined. You can actually say, I want this particular hook to be the first one, to be second one, so which is very, very useful. And also you can use them anywhere in your program, but it's advisable for you to make sure they are in a class. But anywhere you can put them, but it's advisable to you to make sure that they're in a specific class. So okay, that is that about books. So one thing that I want to also say that so they can be used even as a precondition. So this is very, very important. So you can use that as a precondition. As a tester, you want to use them for to run any test that should be executed or any step that should be executed before your test starts or before your feature starts. So the available hooks that we have at present is like this: before test run, before feature, before scenario block, and even before your step. And the same way, you now have the corresponding after block for after test, after scenario block, after feature, then after test run. So I'm going to explain this in that order. So the first thing that you have, let me first increase this quickly so that you can see better. So I'm going to put that slide on so that then I'll go back. So in your hooks, you have your before test run is the first thing. If you have it in your code, that's going to be executed. If you have before feature, it's going to come next in your step. And also if we have your before scenario block. Then once that, let's say your test has finished, then the after step will finish for the any of the step that you have. If then after scenario for any of the scenario block, for instance, if you have five scenarios, before any scenario starts, your before scenario will be executed. After that scenario has finished, your after scenario will be executed for each of the steps. So when the next step also want to run, you will go to the before scenario and start to execute it again. And when that scenario has finished, it goes to after scenario and get that executed. So the same thing applies to the feature as well. For each of the feature, before feature is executed first, and after that feature has finished, before it moves into the next feature, then your after feature is executed. So that's how this particular hooks are defined. So just to go through the explanation once again, as I've explained before, test run is before any test on you is executed in the entire test run. So the same thing after for the after that will be executed after your test run. Before or after feature that is run before each of the feature. So the same way for the before scenario. So if you ask me which one are the common one that you normally have, it's going to be before feature, after feature, before scenario, after scenario. Those are the four common ones that you will see. So in creating your hooks, you would have, like I said, this is the four common one. You have your before feature. Then you normally kind of have like a precondition that I've mentioned, like trying to initialize your driver. Then after that, you would want when your test has finished, whether in your before, whether in your after scenario or after feature, you might want to close your driver. That's another thing, another way to use it. So let's quickly go to how we can actually do this. So I will go to my code now. So since we are using our framework right now, so we've already got a folder for hooks. So we're going to be creating our hooks inside this particular folder. So you will need to right click on add, click on new item. So when new item dialog box appears, you now need to click on spec flow. When you click on spec flow, you go to hooks event binding. Then you can call it name. I know there are different names that people call it. You can call it like a base test or a base or hook or for to make it easy for people, I'll call mine web hook. So and I will remove this. So this is how I'm going to call it. Just call it webhook, but it doesn't matter what you call it as long as you know that is an hook. It doesn't have to have hook at the end, to be honest. So you just need to know what you call it and know that this is it. Well, so okay, let's go to and we click on add. So now we have this. So by default, you've got hook block of codes created for you, which is really, really good actually. So you have your before scenario and after scenario created for you, which is really, really good. So you can actually use that for the sake of so the only thing that you don't have the before feature or after feature, but this we're going to use this, but let's continue. So that is the first thing that you need to have. Okay, so 1 minute.
We're working hard.
I know. Crazy night. Because of the cold.
No. Welcome. Got it.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just looking for where that's if okay, we are not this yet. Okay, all right. So okay, so that is the hook that we have. So, and one thing I want to look into is so this is the template that we kind of got actually. So from here you so this I just quickly explain this that I've got here. So what I've got here now is basically like this one right now. So you've got the so for you to do the hook, you would need to kind of have a precondition. So you now have this precondition. Your precondition is basically kind of having a driver that you want to use for your testing. As you know, we're going to use WebDriver. So I know for some people that are already used to Chrome driver, you might not need this particular parameters or argument that pass into it, but sometimes it doesn't work for different environments. So I've kind of put that in there so that it's really very reliable, so that you can be able to use any environment on any environment, even if your bin directory is playing up, this will actually get that bin directory allocated automatically. So, for you to be able to do this, you need to ensure that your driver is instantiated. So you need to get it instantiated here and also declare your driver here basically so that you can be able to use it even anywhere in the class. So you need to first you can because you want to also make sure that your driver is static so that you can be able to get the context everywhere. So you need to declare your driver at this particular point. And also because we are going to be using Chrome driver, you need keyway.selenium and also keyway.chrome. And also for this is um, these particular packages or libraries are very important for you to be able to do that. So, and because we are using app domain and dot, current domain based directory, because of that, you need the using system to be able to do that. And because we are using binding and before scenario and after, which is from SpecFlow, so you will need this particular package. So all these are required. So I'm going to kind of copy this on my code that I've written for the sake of time, and I'm going to use it here to replace this. So I'll try to see if there's any error I should have like a red underline. So I think it's fine. So that's what I need. Um so this is just showing the code that I should get. So basically then the next point is for me to just save it and that should be it in some of our books. This is what you need to do. These are the books that you need for now. I know before now I kind of added the driver.keyway on the slide that I saw before. But I'm not going to put it right now because if I put it right now, when I run my test, it's going to close the browser. And I don't want that for now. I want you to see what the test looks like or what the test actually is doing. So I'm going to leave that driver.quit at this particular time. So just save, and that's basically it on in terms of creating books. So any question you can put a comment on the comment section so that I can answer your question or any member of my team can answer your question. So this is the end step by step to creating your first test framework. We've just finished creating hooks. So in the next slide, we are going to be looking into creating your feature files. We've been able to go through downloading and installing Visual Studio. into integration of specular extension, in creating your test project, creating your folder structure. Also, we've looked into SpecFlow plus runner activations as well as Nugget, adding Nugget packages. We just finished in this particular video creating hooks. So I'm going to see you in the next video when we are going to talk about creating your feature files. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. My name is Tejan.